This week, you get to come with me to a closing, hear about where I'm going next week, it's a mastermind, and hear about how I've got a hiring funnel to hire an acquisition manager for my business out of state. Are you guys ready for show number 8? Howdy! Welcome to I Love Real Estate Stories from the Trenches, show number 8. This is a show where we give you the behind-the-scenes look at the life of a real estate entrepreneur, showing you what's possible and teaching you along the way. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. For the first time in I Love Real Estate Stories from the Trenches history, we're going to take the show on the road because it's Friday and I'm leaving out of town for the next 5 days to a mastermind group. So I actually have to go sign on a closing so I can get my money back so I can get some other deals funded. We'll see you guys in a second.
Oh, I guess going off site.
Yeah. I have to go sign some papers for a closing. See, he doesn't only write on his whiteboard, he writes on real paper too sometimes.
Okay.
I definitely prefer the whiteboard. This is like Mr. Rogers now all of a sudden. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine?
A day in the life of it.
Won't you? Hey, you so happy you got your sub. Bye-bye. So the reason I'm driving down to the title company is I need to complete the other half of the double close. I had to purchase the property today because it was a bank-owned property that we had under contract. We found a buyer, we emailed it out and found a buyer, and they've been waiting to close, but the bank needed to get their power of attorney or something in there, so we've been waiting 2 weeks, and they finally got it. Of course, it's like the day before I'm going out of town for a week, so in order to complete this transaction with my buyer, who's waiting, he wants to get started on the property, he's got a lender with money sitting in queue waiting for this deal, so I needed to go down there and actually sign the second half of the double close today. So that's why we're doing From the Trenches on the road, because I needed to go sign for that closing. We've got a hiring funnel built, and we're initiating that. We've built the funnel, and now we're just sending people to it. Like resume, basically. They've got to jump through all those hoops to submit their resume to work for us. So that's what we're doing.
So
that's actually what's been going on this week too. That's one of the key things we're doing.
That's pretty interesting.
We're hiring somebody on the ground in New Mexico.
Why have you guys decided now, all of a sudden, that it would be good to have someone on the ground in New Mexico? Whereas for, 6 months or so-ish, you haven't had anyone, and presumably things have been going pretty well?
Yeah, it's been over 6 months, and things have been going really well.
What's the benefit of...
One, our acquisition manager in Utah is getting pretty swamped. 2,
and she was dealing with them just over the phone, right?
Dealing with them on the phone.
Okay.
2, it's difficult even for her to build that rapport and do things on the phone. And when you're there in person, it's easier, it's faster, you can get the contract signed quicker, you can build a better rapport. So it's definitely, there are certain deals this year that we didn't get because we didn't have somebody on the ground. When they get there, they're going to see the typical ad saying, you can make a lot of money, which they can. We're only looking for rock stars, only looking for A players, don't apply if you're not this and that. And if you want to apply, go here. And they click on a survey monkey, the survey. And they get to answer 10 questions in this survey, right? So they got to answer. And then the last page, it says, do this. Take a copy of this page before you hit submit. So then they take a copy of the page, presumably they hit submit, and then they've got to enter in a certain web address and go to a certain URL. And from that URL, then they're going to be watching a video of the next stage of instructions. And after that next stage of instructions, it's going to say, do this and this and this with that, and send me an email with this, right? You're seeing if they can follow instructions. The last hoop is they've got to record a 3-minute video of themselves saying why they're the person for that job, and then take that video, email this person with this subject line, with this thing attached, right? So can you, 1, go through the hoops? Can you, 2, follow the instructions? So if you can't do that, obviously you're not the type of person that
Are you tenacious enough to follow?
Yeah. Can you go through and follow instructions?
That actually reminds me of that, follow instructions exercise / test that you do in grade school, right? Blah, 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 and before you do anything, read all the instructions, and the last thing is don't do this test, bring your pencil and paper up to the teacher, you know what I mean? It's exactly like that.
It is. But you're just trying to see it. Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's pretty cool. But you guys just recently pulled the trigger on that?
So we built this funnel.
Or how long
and today
is that?
we're initiating it by basically telling the world, hey, look at this, submit your resume kind of thing. But here's how you submit your resume.
On seller side, purchase price $57,000.
Yep.
Prorated taxes.
Yep.
That's it. He's covering all the closing costs.
Awesome.
And so you're getting $56,908.
Awesome. Here's the thing, dude, about the mastermind that I'm going to. I feel like everybody in their life needs coaches. Everybody in their life needs accountability. People who are, hold them accountable for it to do what they said they were going to do. And you need to hang out. Top producers hang out with top producers. And if I can find the best people in the industry at doing what it is I want to do or what I'm doing, it's naturally, I'm going to be able to share their ideas. I'm naturally going to elevate my game to their level, which is why it's so important to spend time away from your business, in masterminds or with coaches or with whatever it is for you. So that's why it's so important to me. So that's why I'm taking the time away to do it. The most powerful thing I've seen is if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So it's the power of your mind. If you think you can do something, you can do it. That's what Billy said when in my interview with him.
Yeah.
But first of all, it takes that thought. You need to sow that thought first. And if you don't even know something's possible or something exists, how are you ever going to attain that? So I would say it started for me. I've been doing real estate for a long time, but a friend of mine, Ryan Weber, and I met him at a conference in Denver like 5 or 6 years ago. And I remember seeing him, and he was presenting up there, and we made quick friends after his presentation. We went to dinner and hung out, and I recognized that I was doing, the similar volume of business to him, and I was in a bigger town and everything. And it's almost like through our association, we created this accountability group together where he and I would meet once a month on the phone because he lived in Texas and I lived in Utah. And we'd say, here's what I'm going to do this month, and here's what I'm going to do this month. We'd share that with each other. We held each other accountable in the next month's phone call. We were supposed to do those things. But he gave me permission to be bigger than I was, because he told me, he said, why aren't you doing more in your market? He says, you should be huge. Why don't you do a lot more volume? And honestly, I'd never really thought about it until then. Like, he gave me permission, but he also stretched my mind and showed me, planted the seed and showed me what was possible. And after doing that, that's all it took. It's not like he did anything other than that, but that was huge, giving me permission and showing me that it's possible, or telling me, hey, you can do this. It's not just possible for anybody, but you can do this. He did that for me, and that was the beginning for me, just knowing it was possible. And I know it sounds hokey, this sow a thought and you reap an action. It's so true, though. You have to think it first and believe it first before you can achieve it. So that's why it's powerful to always have people pushing you, always have coaches, always have mentors, always have people that are top performers that you're in their circle of influence, because that sucks you up to their level, right? Whether it's whether it's just sharing, an overt sharing of things that they're doing, or if it's just modeling, it doesn't really matter. It's like, it's going to happen, right? Like, if you're around them, you're going to become them, because their thoughts are going to be their thoughts. You're going to go higher. So I always try to associate myself with people who are doing what I want to do, and people who I respect, who are just like top in the industry. So if you go into these, my mastermind, if I didn't go into my mastermind and feel a little bit small, then I need to go find a new mastermind, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You always want to be pushing yourself. You always want to be playing at that higher level and pushing yourself a little bit. So that's what the mastermind is for me. That's why it's so important to go take time away and do that type of stuff.